Today, our older adults are all but forgotten. In tribal cultures, the elders have a vital and important role. They are the keepers of the memories and the wisdom. And because of that, they are respected and honored. But this is not the case in many modern Western cultures. Many seniors say they feel ignored, left out, disrespected, and even invisible. This is such a sad commentary on society today and where we place our values. We seem to be obsessed with newness and youth and progress, and we rely on scientific studies to tell us how to raise our kids and how to heal our illnesses. And the invaluable knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation is often disregarded, as are the keepers of that wisdom, our seniors. Sages and Seekers is designed to bring together young adults and seniors to share their unique gifts. Our seniors, who have a lifetime of experiences to share, are enrolled in an 8 to 10-week program of 70-minute weekly sessions that take place at the local high school, university, or senior facility. Most of the programs take place at the schools with the intent of getting seniors into a more youthful setting. The program offers the sages the opportunity to review their lives while they share their varied experiences and stories with interested students. And while listening to these stories and experiences, the student seekers gain interviewing, writing, public speaking, and conversation skills. Because of the deep connection that develops through conversation, the students also develop empathy and social-emotional skills. Through this exchange, both the sage and the seeker have the possibility of cultivating very rich relationships. The first week of the program is an icebreaker. Everyone sits in a circle getting to know each other as a group. The next week is a takeoff on speed dating, which allows every student to meet every sage. During the following weeks, a sage and a seeker are paired together, working one-on-one. These one-on-one sessions are followed by the presentation week, where each student honors his or her sage by reading their tribute to all participants and invited guests. The final week is a debriefing and closing for both generations. Although this program was designed to benefit our elders, it was easy to see from the start that our students were invested in this unique experience. They love it. Many have said Sages and Seekers was the highlight of their school year. When you bring these two generations together, it's pure magic.
I think one of the big differences is the immediacy of the way you communicate now. Because when I was growing up and dating, if someone wanted to call you, it would take a long time before he would get to you because there may have been 4 other parties on the line, all who had access to it. And not only that, but I was in a family of 2 other girls. And so by the time someone would call me to ask me for a date, say, he might have changed his mind.
I remember the first time I called up a girl for a date. I wrote out my speech. I wanted to make sure I didn't say something dumb, and I wanted to make sure I said all the things that I wanted to say. So I was working from a script. And I never told anybody that.
After warming up the crowd at the first meeting, the second meeting is spent speed dating. The sages sit at tables, and the seekers move from table to table, taking a few minutes to get to know each sage before choosing one to work with for the bulk of the meetings. The sages are then encouraged to bring photographs to the following meetings, at which they work one-on-one with the seeker sharing their life experiences.
After a year before my dad died, we had another baby, and it was my sister, baby Alice. Now, this was the year in 1936 my dad died, so we went to live in Winthrop with my grandmother. So all of this part of my life was over.
Wow.
And almost, I would say, at least two Sundays a month, and maybe sometimes three. Uncle Arthur would come over from New York City, and Aunt Helen lived only a mile away. And we kids would run screaming through that house. Such a good time.
Did you ever regret not becoming a veterinarian?
I guess so, but I didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So, was the rest of your community Jewish, or?
No, mostly not.
Did you ever encounter any, discrimination or anything?
Yes.
Really?
The presentation week marks the end of the one-on-one communication with the reading of the touching tributes written by the seekers. Each sage is also honored with a copy of their tribute, photographs of their time spent together, and a rose.
Sam's a fine lad, and I really enjoyed being with him. I didn't realize that I was going to need Kleenex when because all of these stories are so moving. I find it very enriching to be part of this program and see these young people.
The last thing I want to tell you is that before I met you, I had this fear. A fear that I won't be great in life, that I won't be the most successful person I can be. I'm afraid to just be average. It's embarrassing but true, and the hardest part about this fear is figuring out what it means to be great and successful in life. I don't ever really share that fear with anyone, but it's important for you to know it because you've changed it. Your stories and the way you've told them has shown me that to be great and to be successful, you just need to be genuine and humble. You've been hardworking, genuine, and humble, and ultimately, I believe you've gotten the best things out of life. And that what I've taken from these traits is that they are achievable. In fact, they are beyond good enough. And since you are so humble, I want to say this for you. Phyllis, you are more than great, and your success is measured in your 8 children. When you showed me that picture calendar of your family, I could visualize the happiness and love you provided them with. What I'm trying to say is that I hope that I can be as great and successful as you are, because if I do, then I will know that I've lived the most fulfilling life I could live, that I've been happy, and that I've seen the world. These Tuesdays with you have been special. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you.
I'd just like to say what a pleasure it is to meet such a nice 16-year-old and an entire program. All of you are very nice 15 and 16-year-old teenagers, because sometimes people our age think that teenagers aren't communicative and don't want to talk to older people, so this is a wonderful program. But especially, I want to follow your career as a soccer player. So I hope you let me know if you make the Olympics, because I'll have the television on if you do.
During the final week, everyone sits in a circle to discuss their experience together. This week offers the unique opportunity for all participants to express what they felt and what they learned about themselves and the other generation. This is often a profound meeting, which offers closure as well as new beginnings.
I did enjoy the Sages and Seekers program very much. I think I've done it 4 times now.
I was so pleasantly surprised at the kids and how receptive they were.
It helps me with my attitude towards the teenagers.
I would say I am far better off myself than I was before meeting these wonderful children.
We can be role models, and we don't really sometimes realize that we're being a role model when we are being a role model.
The seniors, to watch them have their tributes paid to them and the tears, and I mean, it was just, the last 2 weeks confirmed what a great idea it is.
Participating gives me a chance to maintain my connection with much younger people. I don't have any other way of doing that. The way we loosen up, you might say, because we don't have this concern about consequences, gives us a unique relationship.
In some ways, I felt like I knew my seeker almost better than my own grandchildren.
I have 4 grandchildren, but we never seem to have one-on-one discussions with them. We're with them frequently, but it's always in a group. And so I learned that I could handle a one-on-one discussion with a teenager, and it was a good experience.
I was able to talk with my seeker about things that I may not have told my nieces and nephews growing up. I think it's a win-win situation. Everybody likes to have somebody listen to them, and sometimes your family lived through what you did and they don't want to listen to you anymore.
I have not been able to get my family to listen to me, and to have these kids come in with intent and interest in what our lives have been like and what we have done and what we've learned, and actually incorporate it into their brains and understand that they can profit from it, was really wonderful.
It keeps you young, working with younger people. In that sense, yeah, it does change. And I was like a little child looking forward to every Thursday.
I would do Sages and Seekers again because not only did it make me feel good, but it also made me feel good to see these kids who think that we're really, really old, which we are compared to them, accept us and be so loving and caring. It was wonderful.
I think I learned to appreciate my past more through their eyes than I would have through eyes of people who knew me. So as much as I love my children and my grandchildren and relate to them, relating to children of the same age with a different thought was very enlightening to me. I'm pleased with my past.
I loved it because this was working with a group of younger people who you could, interact with and understand and, teach them things, and they could teach you things.
If there was one piece of wisdom that I took away from Evelyn, it was just to be aware of what's going on around you, because that's what becomes history. I was asking her all these questions about the Depression and what it was like during this time and that time, and then when I just stopped asking questions and I was like, tell me something really cool that you did, and she was like, oh, well, I went to the March on Washington with Martin Luther King, and you're like, okay, that's really cool, and to her that was just something she did.
This experience was definitely valuable because it showed that you can really connect with someone no matter how old they are. Talking to her, it was just I could say whatever I wanted to and didn't really worry about what she was going to think about me because she didn't judge me.
It's the greatest thing ever. And to see him at my show the other day, because my parents weren't able to make it this weekend, so to have somebody right from town who was able to come and support me, meant so much, because I know that he probably wouldn't have gone if he hadn't met me,
The ability to find that an 89-year-old and an 18-year-old are so relatable. She told me stories about when she was 17, 18, and it was surprising that I was like, oh, I know what you're talking about. I know how you feel.
How often do you have a chance to talk about your life and somebody else is actually willing to listen? And that was fun.
I had to tell him about how my wife died. He didn't push me to continue. He said, no, it's okay. So I found this seeker actually was taking care of me for a while, and I thought that was really nice.
There was not just an intellectual exchange, but an emotional connection. And that, I think, is what the world needs more of. We need to be able to connect with one another as human beings. We need to be able to have empathy and compassion for one another. We need to be, that is what we need in this world. If we're ever going to improve it, no matter where we live, that is what we need
we need empathy, we need compassion, we need the willingness to get to know another human being as just that, another human being.
It's a treasure. I can't express how much it's meant to me, and how it's improved my life.